thanks so much for being here. My name is Kat and I make houseplant videos here on Good and Planty. If you just so happen to absolutely love this video, please consider liking it, commenting, subscribing, or following me on Instagram. All of these things help me grow my channel like a plant. And TikTok, I'm also on TikTok now. Today, I want to talk about south-facing windows and what plants do well in them. South-facing windows are usually really sought after because in the Northern Hemisphere, they get the most natural light throughout the day. However, the downside of southern facing windows is that not all plants, honestly a lot of plants, cannot handle that strong, intense, direct sunlight that comes from southern facing windows. Especially during the summer months when the days are longer and there's a lot more sun, usually that can result in the burning of leaves if you're not putting the right house plants in your southern facing windows. Before we jump into what plants I put in southern facing windows, I did want to just recommend that if you have really intense light streaming in your southern facing windows, like you don't have an apartment building shading it or anything like that, there are a few things you can do to kind of ease up that harsh light. If you own a home, you can, for example, plant a tree outside. That's a little dramatic, but it is a suggestion that comes up a lot when researching this. And also a little bit of an easier one is to just put up a sheer curtain or just put your plant a little bit to the side of a southern facing window, and basically all of those tips will diffuse that harsh light so that it's a little bit more bright indirect light for your house plants, which most plants really enjoy, and less bright direct sunlight, which can be a little bit of a problem for some houseplants. I will show the plants that I put in very direct southern facing windows. A few more quick things before I jump into the list though. If you are putting plants, whether they're plants in this list or not, in a southern facing window, just be careful if you are watering them during the day or using any treatments like neem on them, because the sun will hit that water or treatment and honestly speed up the burning foliage process. There's science behind that, not gonna even try. I think it basically acts like a magnifying glass on the leaf and then it burns it. I don't know. And then last thing I promise before jumping into the list is if you are taking some of these plants from other areas of your home and putting them into a southern facing window, make sure that you are acclimating them and kind of increasing that sunlight intensity over time, because if you take a plant from a northern facing window and shove it into a southern facing window with direct light, it is not going to be adjusted to that. It is going to be overwhelmed and burn. Just make sure that you are acclimating your plant to stronger light if that's what you choose to do, and also consider the fact that you are probably going to need to water this plant more because the stronger light is going to dry out the soil a bit faster. With all that being said, let's jump into, I think I have 7 plants that I keep in very direct sunlight in southern facing windows. I know that is not ideal for these plants, but I get away with it, and I have gotten away with it for over, like, I don't know, over a year, maybe 2 years, and I'm just gonna share it with you. The first plant, I kind of have to just knock it and get it out of the way because we all know it's gonna be on this list, and that is just your average run-of-the-mill cactus. Come on, focus. Here we go. Here's one example. I have a ton of cacti in direct southern facing light. Obviously, these are desert plants. They are very used to strong, direct light and in fact really need it. You can absolutely put a wide range of cacti in your southern facing windows. They're gonna be just fine. You don't really have to water them all that more often, and you probably also don't even really need to diffuse the light. I have a ton of different cacti in my southern facing windows and they all love it. So, had to get that one out of the way, sorry. Next plant on the list is the string of pearls. Ooh. And this applies for any of the string of plants, string of dolphins, string of hooks, string of bananas, you know, there's a ton of them, and they would all do just fine in a southern facing window. These are considered succulents, so they are pretty good in harsh light. What I like to do for the string of pearls is to squeeze the little pearls, and I just watered this plant, so it's pretty firm. But if this plant was thirsty, then it would have some give and be a little soft and wrinkly. And this plant also really does well with top-down light, because you can see that the top of the plant is very full, which is kind of hard with some of these trailing plants. You are giving it good southern top-down light, it will fill out on its own. You don't even need to prop and plug, which I really enjoy. The next plant I have talked about a little bit before, and how I put them in southern facing windows now, and that is Hoya. This Hoya specifically is the Hoya Crimson Queen, but I keep Hoya pubic calyx near in a south facing window. I've kept my Hoya Carnosa compacta in a southern facing window, and they're fine. They get a little bit sun stressed, and again, just keep up with that watering, but all in all, Hoya can kind of handle the southern facing windows. Hoya are a huge genus of plants, so I definitely recommend looking into your specific Hoya a little bit and definitely acclimating it to southern facing windows if you're gonna go ahead and do that. Your plant might get a little bit chlorotic, like you can see that this plant could be a little bit happier with slightly less light, but you know, I have plenty of normal leaves as well. These are plants that are, you can get away with putting in southern facing windows. I wouldn't necessarily say it's my first choice for them, but you can definitely get away with it if you are acclimating and just doing a little bit of research and keeping an eye on them. So Hoya. Also, this pot is so freaking cute. I love it. I pretend that this is like a little bang. Next plant might surprise you, but it's going to be a snake plant. And this snake plant specifically is the Sansevieria robusta, if it wants to focus. Hello? Okay, my camera was in manual focus. Excuse me. Anyway, Sansevieria robusta, there we go. Sansevieria robusta. Now this might come as a little bit of a surprise because usually snake plants are marketed as low light loving. They are low light tolerant at best. They're usually considered low light plants. And I would say that they can actually handle a huge variety of light. And if you wanted to acclimate them to get used to southern facing windows, I think that they can handle it. They're very succulent plants. They don't need a lot of water, so you won't have to worry about watering them all too much more often. And I know for a fact some people do put them in southern facing windows. This plant, I will be fully transparent, and I do keep it in a northern facing window because I needed some low light tolerant plants in there. I will release a north facing window video eventually. I don't keep this snake plant in a southern facing window, but I know for a fact some people do. I just haven't acclimated any of my Sansevieria to southern facing windows. Acclimation is truly the key here to getting more of a variety in your southern facing windows. So again, that looks like slowly increasing the amount of light your plants get throughout the day. You can kind of like move it into a room with southern facing windows first, and then slowly inch it closer, and then maybe eventually you can keep it in the windowsill. Next is a plant that I absolutely keep right in the windowsill, and that is this black goldfish plant. She is a huge cutie. I just talked about her recently in my summer favorites video, so she was just featured. I won't go super into her. This is another plant that can handle that sun stress a little bit. You can see the reds on the backs. She is getting quite a bit of sun, but I love that beautiful red color that jumps out. And also this plant is a bit succulent. As you can see, the leaves are pretty thick, retain a lot of water, and it is fairly vocal. When it's thirsty, it will, if it wants to focus, it will get wrinkly, and then you just squeeze it like that. Oh, it could use some water. I haven't tried the regular variety of this plant in southern facing windows. I don't own the regular goldfish plant, but this variety, the black gold one, does just fine on southern facing windows. All right, next plant is the rickrack cactus. There is also the fishbone cactus, I think. I believe they are different plants that often get confused with each other, but Gabriella Plants had this listed as rickrack, so that's what I'm gonna call it. This is another plant that is very similar to, this is a jungle cactus, so it does need a little bit more water and it's not as easygoing as the typical classic cacti, but it can handle the southern exposure. It's doing just fine. I just, again, keep up with the watering. I like this plant because even southern facing windows want some vines, some hanging plants, and this is one of the few plants that can be put in southern facing windows that do hang and trail, similar to the Hoya. But I really like that I can add a little bit of visual variety in my southern facing windows with plants like this. Next plant is a pretty common succulent, so I won't spend too much time on it, but HOWORTHIA. And this plant, I will admit, I probably didn't acclimate it as well as I should, or keep up with the watering as well as I should, because it is struggling a little bit. I think if I just do a little bit of a better job keeping up with the care, it'll be fine in the south facing window. But you can see that it's gotten quite dark. It used to be more of this is a new leaf in the center here. It used to be more of that bright green color, and now it's a bit dark green / black. So that's how I know it's getting a little bit fried in that window, but I think this plant is fairly hardy and will be okay. If you really need an extra plant in your southern facing window, HOWORTHIA could be that plant for you. All right, and the last plant I want to talk about is the euphorbia. Look at this little cutie. This plant is not a cacti, so you do have to water it a little bit more frequently than you would with your cacti. Definitely don't abandon this plant. Also, I will say, full transparency, the southern facing light can fry off some of these leaves. You'll notice this plant is a bit bare towards the bottom, and that's because I was keeping it in a little bit too intense of southern facing light. It's not 100% perfect for southern facing windows. It probably would like a little bit of diffusion, a little bit moved to the side, but I'm doing the best that I can working with what I got, and this plant is surviving in a southern facing window. So go ahead and do it at your own risk, but you'll see, like, it's fine, you know? I love this so much. It's so freaking cute. All right, and then some plants, some honorable mentions that I'll say. I don't own these plants, so I can't speak from experience, but I know that these are common plants to put in southern facing windows. Those are aloe, croton, sago palms, I know are kind of popular, and jade, the jade plant. And that's pretty much all I have on this topic. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed today's video and you're not subscribed already, please consider subscribing. It would really help me out. Linked in the description box down below are a bunch of links and ways you can support me and my channel if you want to. Some free, some not. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you on Friday's video. It is my house tour. It's my house tour, so get excited. I am so thrilled to share this house in its entirety with you, and it's a plant tour, but it's also a house tour. I will see you then. Bye.